It seems that there are so many things wrong with our society and the modern world that it's all just become a swirling mess filled with chaos and confusion. It's no wonder that so many people are depressed and feel hopeless. It's really no fault of their own, even though we are constantly told that if you feel hopeless and unmotivated, that somehow it's your own fault, and it should be blamed on your own personal failings, and not society as a whole. People like Jordan Peterson are constantly telling you that you are the one who should be blamed for the circumstances of your life, and that you are somehow a failure or a weak person if you can't overcome the things that life throws at you. It's almost like he's trying to say, if you're suffering, it's because you deserve it. What people like that refuse to realize is that we are all heavily susceptible to environmental pressures that are often outside of our personal control. I always like to say the environment dictates. So we often find ourselves trying to adapt to the circumstances that we find ourselves in, not controlling them. We are not always responsible for the bad things that happen to us, which is why I sometimes refer to life as a sick gambling game. Sometimes you do roll the dice and you end up with a wealthy family that cares for you and loves you and provides you with a stable foundation from which you can build a decent life for yourself. Others roll those same dice and end up with a drug addict mother and a gang member for a father, and neither one of them love you that much because you were just an accident, the result of a drunken night of passion, and are now just a liability in their eyes, something that they are forced to have to take care of. It wasn't the child's fault they ended up in that situation. It was just a random roll of the dice. Whether we like it or not, our lives will always be heavily affected by how we started out in life, and from what environment we came from. Sometimes it seems as if people like Jordan Peterson strongly believe in social Darwinism. They seem to believe that some people are just naturally better and more deserving than others, so they refuse to take into account the environments that people come from and their personal circumstances. How many incredibly smart children that could have went on to become the next Albert Einstein or Stephen Hawking were lost to us, just because they were born in a poor environment and never got the chance to reach their full potential. People like Jordan Peterson seem to think it's the child's own fault for not overcoming their upbringing and not pulling themselves out by their bootstraps. You can't help but wonder how many people that could have grown up to be the next great scientists, engineers, or groundbreaking doctors that could have changed the world for the better, but instead ended up spending their lives working at Walmart or pouring your coffee at Starbucks, all because they came from bad circumstances that prevented them from reaching their full potential. So, because of the backward, outdated values of our so-called leaders, we live in a society that says if you fail in life, it's your own fault, and you have no one to blame but yourself. So with that kind of pressure, it's no wonder that even grade school students are suffering from depression and anxiety at record levels. Despite some people trying to tell you that we live in the best of times because of our technology, more people today are more stressed out and socially isolated than ever before in human history. I've always hated that we have to live in a world where everyone has to look out for themselves. It's like if you're lucky in life, you get to have things and opportunities that will lead you to a satisfying life that most will never have. If you are unlucky, then too bad. No one cares because they're too busy living out their own lives to care about the unfortunate fates that befall others. It's just crazy that if you are not adjusted well to this society and have a hard time dealing with life, doctors are so willing to push pills on you and give you therapy so that you can be reconditioned to accept society as it is. Yet no one ever questions that perhaps there may be something wrong with society that's causing people to be so depressed in the first place. That's just another example of people looking at the individual instead of looking at the environment around them. We are all reflections of our environments, whether we want to be or not. We can't help but be heavily influenced by the things and conditions that are often outside of our personal control, so we often find ourselves having to make the best of whatever situation life throws in our direction. Imagine for a moment having a huge pineapple shoved straight up your ass, and everyone in society telling you that you should just accommodate the pineapple, insisting that you should just make room for the pineapple and accept the pineapple as just a part of your life. They even give you medications to help you with the trauma and pain from the pineapple. They also give you therapy to help you cope with the discomfort of the pineapple in your ass. But not one time does anyone ever explain to you why the hell a pineapple is stuck up your ass in the first place. I mean, when did pineapple up ass become a thing? And why should we be forced to accept it? The pineapple is a metaphor for the insane way our society is structured, and the pain and suffering it causes all of us. Why should anyone have to be medicated just so they can cope with the madness of this world? Krishnamurti once said, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." So if the culture and society that we live in has gone insane, then it's no wonder why people are the way they are. They're simply reflecting the environment they're currently living in, the same environment that most of us are forced to live in. So when someone like Jordan Peterson tells you that you failed in life and it's your own fault because you were just lazy, he's only looking at it from his own social Darwinistic viewpoint and not taking into account the environment that molds people to become who and what they are. I honestly think that the word lazy is an outdated word. The correct term should be an unmotivated person. For example, if you go to get in your car and try to start it and the car doesn't move, you don't say that the car is just being lazy. You start to examine the car to find out what's wrong with it and why it's unable to function properly. You look for the reasons behind the problem. The same thing can be done with people, which are basically just biological machines. You try and look for the reasons why they're not motivated to do anything. The bottom line is, people just don't do things for no reason. There's always something that is motivating them. Even though the behavioral motivator at the time may not always be easily seen, it's definitely always there. People are so quick to point the finger and label the person this thing or that thing without asking themselves why a person is that way and what caused it. So when you start to see things from that perspective, you then realize that a lot of the people that society labels as losers or failures in life are not really that way solely of their own doing, but are simply reflecting the current state of the world we live in. Thanks for watching, and be as safe as you can be out there.